very good morning to our MIIM members and friends in Germany, and a good afternoon to our participants joining from India. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on India's electronic and semiconductor industry, organized by the Make in India Mittelstand program in association with our MIIM partner, Rodel and Partner. I am Mona Desai Thanshe, your MIIM coordinator in Germany, and I will have the pleasure of taking you through today's session. Before we continue, some technical aspects. In the upper right-hand side corner of your screen, you will find the control panel. Here, you can adjust the audio settings and choose, for example, between your headset and the computer audio. Please note that as a participant, you are muted by default. A bit further down on the dashboard, you will find the question panel. We request all the attendees to please post your questions in the question section, and we will take them up at the last leg of the webinar in the Q&A session. For those who are new here, allow me to briefly introduce the Make in India Mittelstand program. The MIIM Programme Initiative is an initiative of two associations, predominantly the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, and secondly, the Embassy of India in Berlin. It provides a platform that integrates a wide range of support services for the German Mittelstand companies and family-owned businesses. The program offers all possible support like strategy, consulting, mergers and acquisitions, market entry support, tax and legal support, project financing, location services, collaborations, and most importantly, facilitation of approvals from central and state government agencies under a single umbrella. In today's webinar, our expert speakers will discuss key takeaways and considerations for entering and expanding in the business market. Today, we have the pleasure of commencing the webinar with His Excellency Mr. Ajit Gupte, the Ambassador of India to Germany. His Excellency Mr. Gupte joined the Indian Foreign Services in 1991 and has since then built a distinguished diplomatic career marked by a series of significant assignments. From 2010 to 2014, he served as Deputy Chief of Mission at the Embassy of India in Berlin. He went on to hold the position of Ambassador of India to Denmark from September 2017 to March 2021, and subsequently served as Ambassador of India to the Arab Republic of Egypt from 2021 March to October 2024. And finally, on 13th October 2024, Mr. Gupte assumed charge as the Ambassador of India to Germany. And now we will have the pleasure of hearing from the Ambassador about the potential and promise that India represents. Mr. Gupte, the virtual stage is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Guten Tag. Mr. Frank Bosenberg, Managing Director of Silicon Saxony in Dresden, welcome. Dr. Mamta Abhichandani, Director of Infineon in India, welcome. Colleagues from Invest India, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome all of you for today's seminar on India's electronics and semiconductor industry, incentives and opportunities for German Mittelstand. Friends, as the world moves decisively towards digitalization, it is increasingly important to have resilient supply chains and energy-efficient technologies. India has emerged not only as a vast and rapidly growing market for semiconductor chips, but also as a reliable partner. India is a country with rapidly strengthening manufacturing capabilities, excellent capacity to design semiconductor chips, and forward-looking policy reforms. There is indeed a lot of potential for further expanding the ongoing cooperation between India and Germany in semiconductors and electronics. Over the last few years, India has taken a number of bold steps to establish itself as a global hub for semiconductor design, manufacturing, and research. Under the Government of India Semiconductor Mission, there is a commitment to fund US $10 billion worth of projects The government is supporting various fabrication facilities, design ecosystems, display manufacturing, and production of components. The India Semiconductor Mission scheme offers up to 50% support for establishing semiconductor fabs and display fabs, which makes India a highly attractive destination for high capex investors. A number of large-scale fab and display projects are already underway in India, supported by both domestic and international investors. India has approved 10 semiconductor and ATMP facilities, that is assembly, testing, marking and packaging facilities, and is pushing advancement in design, including advanced chip technologies in collaboration with leading global firms. Electronics manufacturing has grown many times in India over the last few years. I'm happy to inform you that India exported electronic goods worth nearly $40 billion in the last financial year, marking an impressive 32% increase over the previous year. This trend is likely to continue in future. India is steadily moving beyond assembly of finished goods to deeper localization in components, subsystems, display panels, semiconductor materials, and tools. The production-linked incentive scheme for electronics and semiconductors is further boosting domestic production, attracting a number of global players and embedding India more deeply in global value chains. Together, the India Semiconductor Mission and the PLI scheme provide a strong framework to reduce import dependence, enhance exports, and build technological sovereignty, thus creating a fertile ground for German Mittelstand companies to thrive. A few words about recent economic reforms in India. We've recently rationalized and reduced the GST rate. GST is the Indian VAT system. This is aimed at further enhancing competitiveness, including in sectors like electronics, ICT hardware, and renewable technologies. This will also give a lot of momentum to increased consumption. The GST on white goods, such as air conditioners, dishwashers, and televisions, has been reduced from 28 to 18%, a very significant decline. Monitors and projectors has been reduced from 28 to 18%. The GST on two-way radios has been reduced from 12% to 5%, and a similar reduction has been made on solar panels, renewable energy devices, and composting machines. Please don't forget that a lot of Indian families are adopting rooftop solar. In the last 2 years alone, our rooftop solar capacity has increased rapidly to almost 12 gigawatts. A lot of industries and railway stations, office buildings are also putting up rooftop solar very quickly. These reforms will lead to reduced production costs, improve competitiveness, stimulate domestic demand, and support localization of supply chains, thus creating opportunities and larger markets for both Indian MSMEs and foreign investors. Friends, I would like to mention some of the key areas where there are opportunities for German Mittelstand companies, which are known for their technical expertise, high quality manufacturing, and specialization in niche areas. Number one, equipment, materials, and specialty chemicals. India's expanding fabs and display fabs require precision tooling and machinery, specialty gases, chemicals, raw materials, and testing equipment. These are all niche areas where German companies excel. Number two, design, EDA tools, and R&D collaboration. The government-backed design-linked incentive schemes encourage indigenous IP. German firms with expertise in chip architecture, EDA tools, sensors, and packaging can set up design centers or co-development labs in India. Number three, joint ventures and local manufacturing. With GST rationalization making production more cost competitive, German companies can explore joint ventures with Indian Mittelstand to manufacture components, subsystems, LED panels, and cooling systems. Number four, renewable energy and green tech. India's strong push for renewable energy opens opportunities in solar panels, battery storage, grid management, and a number of energy efficient renewable technologies. These are again sectors where many German Mittelstand companies are leaders, for example, in uh, thin solar cells with greater productivity, a number of battery storage options. Skilling and centers of excellence. As India emphasizes skill development and training in semiconductors, German companies can partner in knowledge transfer, vocational training, and centers of excellence, embedding German quality standards in Indian production. Friends, why is India a key sector of opportunity now? Let me mention a few factors. The global semiconductor supply chain is under considerable stress, requiring diversification essential. India provides attractive alternatives with policy incentives, financial incentives, and improving infrastructure. The recent GST reforms have reduced costs, increased purchasing power, and this will result to greater profit margins. Government schemes such as the Indian Semiconductor Mission PLI and design incentives have now matured with very clear regulations, and this has led to significant confidence among investors. To conclude, India is reshaping its electronics and semiconductor landscape, providing more opportunities for meaningful, mutually beneficial partnerships. German Mittelstand companies, with their strengths in engineering, innovation, and precision manufacturing, are uniquely positioned to play a transformational role in this journey. I look forward to more Indo-German collaborations, which not only generate business value, but also contribute to resilient supply chains, sustainable growth, and stronger bilateral ties between our two great nations. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I look forward to the deliberations today.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for throwing light on India's growing significance in the global economy and especially with regard to the semiconductor industry, something that our next speaker, Mr. Frank Bösenberg, recognizes and values. We extend a hearty, warm welcome to you, sir. But before that, a brief introduction to some of us who don't know you. Mr. Bösenberg is the managing director of Silicon Saxony, one of Europe's largest semiconductor clusters, and the current chairman of Silicon Europe. Based in Dresden, he has steered the organization for over a decade, connecting more than 600 members across industry, research, and government. As chairman of the Silicon Europe Alliance, Mr. Bösenberg leads initiatives to foster innovation and strengthen the European semiconductor ecosystem. Deeply committed to Saxony's, Germany's, and Europe's economic growth, he promotes cooperation in microelectronics, smart systems, and digital technologies, helping position the region as a global high-tech leader. Sir, we are honored to have you join us. The virtual mic is yours.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Very warm thank you also to you, Your Excellency. And I'm looking forward to present you now a little bit the European point of view, so Europe's semiconductor landscape and cooperation opportunities. And spoiler, I also have one slide on the Indian development, which is very, very, very promising from my point of view. So let's start. So I will start with a very brief intro of Silicon Saxony, the organization that I have the pleasure to work for. Then we will zoom a little bit out to the European semiconductor ecosystem, the status quo, and also cooperation opportunities with India as my final slides. So first, what is Silicon Saxony? It's a term that is used in two meanings. Whenever you hear a politician talk about Silicon Saxony, they usually mean the area of Saxony, pretty much the federal state of Saxony, employing more than 80,000 people in the semiconductor and software ecosystem in more than 3,600 companies. It's to become the most relevant branch within Saxony, overtaking automotive. And the second meaning is really an organization. That's the organization I work for. It's a non-profit organization, not state-paid, it's private NGO with more than 600 members, located in Dresden, the second location in another Saxonian city in Chemnitz. Our membership is not limited to Saxony as a region. We also have members from different parts of Germany. So that's a difference between the two meanings. What is our USP as Silicon Saxony? That is pretty unique for Saxony, for Germany, actually also for Europe. It's 5 semiconductor front-end fabs that are all in a very, very, very close proximity, namely in the north of Dresden. This is an aerial view. Maybe you recognize the runway of the airport on the top of the picture. And beside the existing factories of Global Foundries, Infineon, X-Fab, and Bosch, a new one by TSMC, in fact, it's a joint venture called ESMC, is currently under construction. So in 2027, we will have 5 major front-end semiconductor fabs, all within the literal stone throw. Here are a few pictures from the 2 biggest projects. So Infineon is currently building its so-called Module 4. It's a smart power fab. That's enlarging the current fab, 5 billion investment. And that's a picture from ESMC, the European semiconductor manufacturing company, 10 billion investment, supposed to be ready by the end of 2027. However, this is a webinar on Germany as a whole, not on Saxony, and we created this map like 2 years ago. Even though Saxony is the hotspot for semiconductor manufacturing in Germany, it's not the only place. There are other places that host semiconductor fabs and also respective companies, and this map shows that basically entire Germany, similar to India, as we will see, is not concentrated in one region, but has more than one region that hosts semiconductor as a very relevant industry. More hotspots besides Saxony are for sure Bavaria and also in the north of Dresden, of Germany, in Hamburg and Itzehoe, you have a so-called hotspot. New investment, that's maybe interesting because it's not yet that public. New investments are currently being prepared under the EU CHIPS Act. So we expect some announcement of more projects within Germany in this autumn. One have been announced in June. That's an enlargement of Global Foundries in Dresden by 1.1 billion euro. More projects are soon to be announced, pretty sure within this year. Depends a little bit on the budget, but expect some more announcement on enlargement also in Germany in this year. Now we zoom out to the global level, basically. I already mentioned it, the EU CHIPS Act as a major trigger for investments, and the European Court of Auditors made an assessment of this huge program. And this chart is from this European Court of Auditors report, and it shows what happens globally. So far, still India is under others, so on the most right-hand side of the column. So there are still regions that invest even more in semiconductors, but so Europe and also India on the right-hand side, we expect both regions to turn more to the left in the future, so to become even more relevant on the global stage. But it shows a little bit the other regions that are relevant and also where the investments come from and flow to. Important for here, within the CHIPS Act, there's an international cooperation foreseen, and you see that it's not limited to India, but India plays a major role in this international cooperation from the German point of view, but also from the EU point of view. So specifically, there's the TTCs, the Trade and Technology Councils with India, and there are major efforts underway from both sides to foster not only cooperation in R&D, but also in mutual investments for both regions. And region, that term means Germany and Europe, and of course, India. So Europe is not a leading place for all kinds of semiconductors. So for instance, chips in very small nodes are still manufactured elsewhere, but there are without any doubt strengths in the entire European ecosystem if we talk about industrial and automotive application of semiconductors. And the source here is again a publication by the European Commission. I guess the slides will be distributed. You find the link in there, and you can make yourself familiar with the figures there. Silicon Saxony is a cluster organization, and there are more clusters like Silicon Saxony European-wide. It was kindly mentioned in the introduction that I have the honor to serve in this year as chairman of an association that is called Silicon Europe. And under this roof, European relevant hotspots exchange with each other, share data and also cooperation opportunities. So whenever you want to be in contact with any of the little triangles, also in the other European countries, please feel free to reach out to me or to any of my European colleagues in the other clusters. There's more than just Saxony. Entire Europe opens its arm also for cooperation with India. And one of the undisputed strengths of Europe is its R&D landscape. So under the EU Chips Act, there are 5 major pilot lines that really foster R&D cooperation, so-called CHIPS, joint undertaking pilot lines. The chart here shows the coordinating countries in blue, and then in the lighter color, other countries that participate. And also, since this year, each and every European country has a so-called CHIPS Competence Center, CCC, and there's a project called Access, which combines or coordinates all of them. So whenever you want to be connected to any of them, please go to the Access website and find relevant partners. We are happy to support also this. And now we're coming almost to an end. So I now elaborated on the European landscape, but of course, India under the India Semiconductor Mission is really growing up. And this map that I showed or found shows the opportunities that exist within India. The only challenge, very personal view, is you have to focus on a region. So India is a very huge country, and as this chart shows, really the semiconductor industry is not concentrated in one spot, but it's distributed literally over the country. So you have to find the spot that's most interesting for you to invest or to collaborate. Good news is there are a lot of opportunities, and this map shows them. Yeah, with that, I would like to come to an end. A very shameless self-promotion again for a podcast that we are hosting, my colleague Julia and myself. It's called What's Chippening. It's in German, so it's only for those who are able to understand German, or you use AI for translating. But we discuss global news on a weekly basis with regard to the semiconductor landscape. So if you're interested in podcasts, then check out What's Chippening. And with that, I want to thank you for your attention. I'm looking forward to much more information and to a continued cooperation also with India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg, and not at all. You would be surprised to know that German is very enthusiastically being taught in schools and colleges, and Indians are enthusiastically learning German. So you never know who might be interested. But nevertheless, thank you, and also thank you for introducing us to Silicon Saxony and all the good work that you and your team are doing to spearhead European technological growth in what is arguably the lifeblood of all modern living. Additionally, we want to thank you for partnering with us in today's webinar. We are very grateful for your keen and earnest vision and expertise, and hope to continue to benefit from your much valued presence going forward. So we are going to keep in touch. Our next speaker today is Mr. Arush Jairat. He's Assistant Manager at ESDM Team in West India. Arush began his career advising Fortune 500 clients and on transaction advisory, strategy, market entry across infrastructure and technology sectors. At Invest India, he leads initiatives across the technological vertical, covering electronics, semiconductors, and IT hardware. Some good things to know: he has worked very closely with the Prime Minister's office and has represented India at various global investor forums. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, I present Mr. Arush Jairat. Thank you.
Thank you, Manas. Thank you so much. Guten Tag and a warm greeting to my fellow panelists. A special honor to welcome His Excellency Mr. Ajit. Thank you to the Embassy of India in Berlin, to the Netherlands partner, and to the MIIM team for this opportunity. Today, I want to share why India is not just an attractive market, but a strategic partner for Germany in electronics and semiconductors. Before I dive into the electronics and semiconductor opportunity, let me quickly introduce Invest India. So we are the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry with a very unique model, 51% private and 49% government backed. So this lets us combine industry agility with policy access, and importantly, we work pro bono with investors across the globe. Our mission is very simple, to bring FDI technology and risk capital into India, especially in high tech and manufacturing. Over the last 10 years, the government of India has strongly backed electronics and semiconductors with world-class incentives and infrastructure, and our role is to help global firms leverage those opportunities. We support companies at every stage, whether it's from assessing the market and incentives to investment execution, say like location identification, any JV partner search, to long-term policy support as you expand into India. Just some parameters on why India offers a stable long-term growth. So India today offers a very rare combination that is hard to find in the world, which contains both macroeconomic stability with long-term scalability. So our economy has just crossed the 4 trillion mark, making us the fourth largest globally. Growth has been steady, averaging over 7.2% between 2022 and 24, while inflation has remained below 5%. That shows disciplined economic management, even in a very volatile global environment right now. And perhaps the biggest strength that India offers, we have the largest world middle class, 860 million people, who this year alone will drive nearly $4.8 trillion in consumer spending. So this isn't really a short-term spike, but a multi-decade demand curve across, say, mobility, telecom, healthcare, defense, all sectors where electronics are very centrally facilitated. The investment side of the story, of course, is just as strong. Over the last 7 years, India has attracted an average of USD $71 billion in FDI annually. Fixed capital investment now stands at over 33% of our GDP, showing the build out of factories, plants, and infrastructure, while our external debt remains low at just 18% of GDP. And clean energy investment has already crossed 110 billion USD, laying the foundation for a very sustainable industry going forward in the country as well. Walking you through the electronics landscape in India, we have set a very ambitious target of reaching $500 billion in electronics manufacturing by 2030, which is a massive jump from around 100 billion in 2023. We see out of this, 210 billion will be export, placing India amongst the world's top electronics production hubs. How do we plan to get there? I think majorly three drivers. One, of course, is strong demand, as we spoke about, from the world's largest middle class. Second, the robust policy support through various schemes, including the production link incentives, new manufacturing clusters, of course, the support offered to semiconductor projects across the country. Third, we see global supply chain diversification, of course, firms enabling the China Plus One policy as well. And we see firms like Apple, Samsung, Foxconn, Microns of the world who are already scaling in India. We think this isn't just aspirational. India right now is already the world's second largest smartphone maker. So we have a success story at hand. I think now the same model is being applied across spaces like IT hardware, electronic components, and of course, semiconductors. And I think this is where German companies find a natural fit, supplying precision components, any specialized machinery, embedded systems, and of course, advanced sub-assemblies that make global scale production possible in India. Talking about the semiconductor market, I think our domestic market is set to grow from around USD 50 billion in 2025 to 110 billion by 2030, which makes us nearly 10% of the global market. What makes this compelling is the nature of demand, say across AI-enabled mobile chips, edge and inference chips for IoT, compute accelerators for cloud and telecom, automotive grade MCUs and SoCs, of course, defense grade electronics, which of course is a very huge growing segment in India. On the right, there's a bar graph showcasing that for the past 2 decades, we saw that China dominated semiconductor investment across the globe, attracting over $100 billion plus in FDI. But post 2020, we see that China's share has dropped to around 6.5 billion, while countries like say US has secured 60 billion. And of course, you see that that has created a massive opening where India has capitalized very well, along with Singapore and Japan. So I think for German firm, this is a very clear alignment because your strengths lie in niche, high-value components, which help complement this demand for India going forward as well. Just to talk about the key demand drivers and the levers for growth, I think the scale of India's electronics demand is very hard to overstate. We see that by 2030, the market will be driven by various parameters. Firstly, of course, the demand of mobility and vehicles, which will reach to 400 billion. So under that 400 billion, we have 300 billion in automotive electronics, from say in-cabin infotainment to safety systems and whatnot. We see $90 billion will be driven in electric vehicles, 50 billion in medical devices, 42 billion in IT hardware, whether we talk about laptops, servers, of course, all-in-one PCs, and lastly, nearly 18 billion in space and defense electronics. So these sectors, of course, going forward will need high-efficiency compute platforms, advanced sensors, embedded system components, and in short, I think that's where areas that German firms and engineering is world-class. And of course, we invite German firms to come in and invest in these particular fields. Lastly, we see, I think that India demand curve is rising. So your expertise can meet it, whether it's through partnership, supply chains, or direct investment as well. Of course, we spoke about, other speakers spoke about this before, but just to point out that the semicon journey in India is no longer on paper. We see that it is already executing on ground. Of course, Micron, we see, is investing 825 million in Gujarat for advanced memory packaging. We see Tata Electronics, an Indian conglomerate, is partnering with TSMC Taiwan and building India's first $11 billion fab for high-performance compute chips, where production, we are expecting it to start by the end of 2026. CG Power, another Indian conglomerate, along with Renesas from Japan and Star Microelectronics from Thailand, are bringing in a $950 million OSAT facility across sectors like consumer electronics, say smartphones, etc., etc. On the other hand, we see Tata Electronics is adding another $3 billion in an OSAT project in Assam, which is in the northeast part of the country. Here, we see some further projects which were recently approved by the government of India. So we see HCL Foxconn, they have come in a JV and they're setting up a packaging unit in the north of India. We see global leaders like SICSEM, 3D glass solutions from US, ASIP from South Korea, and CIDIL are investing across compound semiconductors, advanced packaging, and discrete devices. Together, these 10 projects in total span 6 states across the country and represent nearly $20 billion in investments that have come to the country. So this proves actually that India is not just announcing programs, we are breaking ground, building fabs, and creating an ecosystem today, which say by 2020 was not there. So in less than 5 years, when the policy was launched, we have enabled over 10 plus projects in the country. So that shows the pace at which we are growing and expanding. In addition, I think what sets India apart is that we're not just building fabs. Of course, we are creating the R&D and supply chain backbone around them. Global leaders are already here. Applied Materials has committed over $400 million for a collaborative engineering center in southern part of the country to accelerate their equipment design and prototyping. We see Lam Research has signed a $1.1 billion agreement to expand the capability centers in India and trained around 60,000 semicon engineers as well. KLA now has 20% of its global R&D workforce in India and runs AI-focused research at IIT Madras. And this is not just intent. I think execution is happening. Earlier this year, we also saw India's first semicon equipment facility shipped its first consumer tool for advanced packaging abroad. We see companies like Rockwell, MKS, and Jabil are also investing in component manufacturing, sub-assemblies, and material size R&D. Of course, in Infineon, they recently established a global capability center themselves and expanding rapidly when it comes to R&D to India. So I think for German firms, this is a signal. I think India is becoming a place where you can not only manufacture at scale, but say also design, prototype, and co-develop alongside the biggest names in the industry. In addition, I think what makes India's story compelling is not just policy or investment. I think it's the scale of demand across industry. So in smartphones, for example, we see India is already the world's second largest producer, with global leaders like Apple, Samsung, and Foxconn manufacturing here. In components and PCBs, companies such as AT&S, Murata, Dixon are building deep local supply chain. If we talk about IT hardware, giants like HP, Dell, Lenovo are producing for both India and global markets. We are also the world's fastest growing market for hearables and wearables, with homegrown brands like Boat and Noise competing alongside global names. Telecom players, of course, like Cisco, Ericsson, Nokia, are manufacturing in India to serve one of the largest digital user bases in the world. In medical electronics, we see firms like Philips, Siemens, Healthineers, and Medtronic are expanding production to serve both India's healthcare systems and exports. And of course, in consumer electronics, companies like Panasonic, Daikin, Whirlpool are scaling operations as we speak to meet the rising domestic demand. So I think for German firms, of course, the ecosystem matters. It means that you're not only entering an empty market, you're joining an ecosystem where global and Indian champions are already operating. And I think where supply chains are hungry for automation, for advanced technologies, for components and whatnot. Just to highlight a couple of future growth opportunities, for firms to grow, we see that India's growth is not just abstract. I think it translates into very specific opportunities. First, I think the AI boom, of course, that we have spoken about before, as AI and GPUs drive demand for high performance chips and servers. I think India's data center capacity will triple to nearly 4.5 gigawatt by 2025. With India already the world's second largest smartphone producer, the next wave is, I think, Edge AI, from smartphone and wearables to autonomous vehicles. So I think this is a natural space for firms' expertise in sensors, compute modules, and precision systems to come to India. Second, of course, we spoke about fabs and the OSAT ATMPs. Over $8 billion worth of investment are already underway just in OSAT ATMPs, with projects by Macron, Renesas, Tata, Foxconn, and others. I think these projects create direct demand for RDL, copper pillars, any advanced metallization. I think areas where German firms are leading globally. And of course, India's automotive and EV market alone is projected to drive a $10 billion plus chip opportunity going forward. Third, I think advanced electronic components. So India has a very strong base for PCB with players like AT&L, Ascent, Shogini, etc. The shift to high density and miniaturized PCBs for smartphones, 5G, and EVs is, I think, accelerating, which is backed by government support. I think each of these is a very good entry point for German companies with your strengths in areas that we spoke about before. And I think that aligns very well and integrates directly into the India's growth story. Lastly, talking about government support to electronics and semiconductor, I think we have one of the most lucrative packages across the globe. And that's, I think, been one of the differentiators in how we are scaling in terms of electronics manufacturing. So we have more than $30 billion in fiscal incentives, which has been committed across the entire value chain of electronics. So we talked about electronics manufacturing. $15 billion has been allocated through the production-linked incentive schemes, capital subsidies, and dedicated electronic clusters. So this covers everything from mobile phones and components to IT hardware. For allied sectors, of course, where the feeder demands are catered to, another $8 billion support has been given to advanced chemistry cells, auto components, telecom, solar, white goods, I think all of which help drive electronics demand. And if we talk about semiconductor chips and display panels, a dedicated $10 billion semiconductor mission provides up to 50% of projects cost support, whether it's a fab, an OSAT ATMP unit, compound semiconductors, or display fabs. On top of this, I think chip design firms in India can access incentive of up to 50% of KPS plus linked incentives on net sales alongside any infra and R&D support. I think in short, India isn't just inviting investment. I think it is actively de-risking the first 5 years of your journey, ensuring projects break ground and scale very quickly. So yeah, that's me. Thank you so much. I can take up any question later on as well in the Q&A. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Arush. We all agree and share your sentiments that the semiconductor industry is indispensable and amongst the most vital industries that is going to propel us into the tomorrow. And thank you for sharing that presentation, the insightful statistics, the parameters, and the plethora of opportunity that Invest India and India has to offer. And ladies and gentlemen, with all this high content background and theory, we are now ready for some real world wisdom and insights. Our next speaker for the webinar will be our guide here and will share with you her experiences and the journey in India. I'm delighted to introduce first and invite Dr. Mamta Pant Abichandani, Director and Head Policy Affairs and Communications at Infineon Technologies Private Limited. Dr. Abichandani has been working with Infineon since 2012. She is responsible for government relations, regulatory policy affairs, political and economic analysis, and internal and external communication. She manages a team locally to ensure standardization and effective execution of global communication planning. Prior to her role at Infineon, Dr. Mamta was Vice President at Blue Lotus Communications Consultancy, managing PR, crisis management, public affairs, related active monitoring of multi-source information that impacted sectors across the economy. Her role involved writing detailed reports with impact analysis, tracking of specific policy development, analysis of political development at national and state level. Dr. Abichandani, we share the virtual mic with you now. Thank you for being here.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, Dr. Abichandani. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, Your Excellency, and people, everyone who is joining us from Germany today, and colleagues at Invest India. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And about Infineon, I know everybody in Germany knows Infineon. We are Germany's biggest semiconductor manufacturers, present in all the important sectors wherever the semiconductors are needed in this world. And in India, we have a R&D center. We have 5 locations in India as of date. Our major headcount, around 2,200 engineers, are sitting out of Bangalore. And there is a global center of excellence or competence in Ahmedabad, where around 200 engineers are there, and rest are spread between the locations of Pune, Vadodara, and Noida. I sit out of Delhi NCR office. And we have been present in India for the last 25 years. And I must say, as a German company, representing a German company in India, a lot of support I've got from Invest India. I know Arush very well. Almost since the time Invest India has been established in India, I've been working with them very, very closely. And I'm really thankful to them for supporting Infineon at various platforms, multiple platforms we have worked with Invest India, Startup India, and it's really been great working with this set of professionals as they are sitting there. So let me share with you first-hand experience as a company which is working on semiconductors, which are atomic grade also, though we don't work into atomic semiconductors, but some of our semiconductors do have atomic grade, which are used in automotives and others. And these kits are bought into India and they are re-exported under the policy from DGFT. And the license is called GACIT license. So these documents have to be filled in every time the set of bots come into India, and it's a very regular process for us. At times we do get into some tangles of bureaucracy, I'm not denying that. So here is where Invest India supports us a lot. And this is a very important development which has just taken back few weeks back. In February 2025, we applied for GACIT license for export and re-export material technology to US. And the documents were submitted with the Director General Foreign Trade Office, as the law prescribes it to be. This falls under SCOMET licensing. And I kept on chasing them, and my colleagues from Bangalore also kept on chasing them. There are multiple ministries involved into this, so I guess all the ministries could not meet in some time to come to some formal decisions. And after that, I connected with Mr. Alexander Calagro, economic minister in the embassy of German embassy in India, and his team, and he told me that he's going to talk to Invest India, and here I came in touch with Mr. Tak Sharma. So between May 6th and August, everything was taken care of. The matters was escalated by Invest India to the Department of Commerce. He followed up personally with Joint Secretary, Director General Foreign Trade. They discussed our files and approved with the no objection from all the agencies. So this is really, we are really thankful. This document was creating a lot of issues because the product had to be re-exported back to US, and we were desperate to do it. And I really thank Invest India for taking it in their hands, taking all the pains of running around the ministries and getting the work done. So I must tell everybody who is in this webinar that Invest India and currently the government of India has always been very supportive to any multinational who has worked in India, who is working in India right now. There are one window opportunities which have been set up for all the foreign collaborators, for all the foreign investors to come in India and expand. My other example is that the GCC policy, which was launched by government of Gujarat on 10th of February, they gave us all the clearances, and our GCC was up and operational on 24th of March. I mean, I cannot say anything more than that, because 6 weeks of time and your GCC is up and running with the government support. So these are my two examples which I'd like to share with you. And if any other details, if anybody wants, they can get in touch with me. I've worked with Indian government for long, and that is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abhichandani, for that valuable on-site and insight, if I may say, with the audience today. And ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what I was also started commenting, that under this Make in India Mittelstand program, one of the key takeaways is facilitation of approvals from central and state government agencies. And with this, and keeping time in mind, I would like to invite our final speaker, Mr. Vishnu Madhur, Assistant Vice President, Guidance, Tamil Nadu. Mr. Vishnu has been with Guidance Tamil Nadu since 2019, and he has played a pivotal role in enhancing the Tamil Nadu ease of doing business. Currently, Vishnu leads the electronics and semiconductor sector at Guidance. In his capacity, he is responsible for attracting, promoting, and facilitating investments in one of Tamil Nadu's most strategic and fast-growing industries. Vishnu, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. 1 minute, let me just share my screen. Is it visible?
Vishnu, we can see you.
Okay, let me just share my screen in that case.
Now. Yes, now. Yes, now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Monas. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, His Excellency, Ms. Mamta, and the others. So I represent the state government of Tamil Nadu, and I represent an agency called the Guidance, which is the state counterpart for Invest India. So I will talk about the state government, the ecosystem in the state of Tamil Nadu, and how we are promoting the electronics and the semiconductor industry. A quick overview. We are the second largest economy in India with a GSDP of nearly 360 billion euros. And with only 6% of the population, we are able to achieve this. And we've had a growth rate of 11.2%, and we have 48% of urbanization across the state, because we have three pillars of growth pillars, which is inclusivity, equitability, and sustainability. We are an economic powerhouse, and we have the largest number of factories in India with 40,000 plus factories and 2.9 million workforce. And we contribute to India's manufacturing sector of around 13%. We are number one in export preparedness. We are the highest electronics exports in India. We lead the auto and auto component exports and also in the textiles and apparels. And because of this, we have a presence of more than 130 global Fortune 500 companies in the state, which is spread across the state. Now, we have a strong relationship with Germany. We have over 60 German companies with over 4.7 billion euro of investments over the last decade, which mainly cuts across sectors such as automotive, renewables, and heavy machinery. Getting into the electronics itself, we have a bigger share of electronics export of about 42%, and 26% of India's share in electronics output, overall output. And if you look at iPhones manufacturing, 3 out of 4 contract manufacturers in India are based in Tamil Nadu, and we have 8 of the top 10 global EMS players in Tamil Nadu, and some of them are on the screen. And if you look at our electronic exports from 2021 to 2025, we have a 9x growth from 1.4 billion euros to 12.45 billion euros. Now, Tamil Nadu is not only a manufacturing state, we also cut across several sectors. So we have, we not only supply, but we also have a huge demand within the state itself. For example, if you take electric vehicles, 70% of India's EV two-wheelers production happens in Tamil Nadu, and manufacturing and R&D presence of global players such as Nokia, Ericsson, Cisco is in Tamil Nadu, and we have a huge presence of data centers, mainly because 20% of India's data center market and 30% of subsea cables are in the state. And we have a huge presence across the aerospace and defense and design and R&D as well. And to cater to this, we have a huge set of electronics manufacturers and component manufacturers in the state. So if you look at the state of Tamil Nadu, we are the southernmost state, and we have 5 major clusters when it comes to electronics manufacturing. The Chennai region is populated with the highest number of electronics companies. The southern part of the state, we have a lot of solar manufacturing. With the western part of the state, we have a lot of heavy engineering and electrical manufacturing. We have equipment manufacturers. And to the northwest, we have companies like Delta, Ascent, which work on PCB manufacturing and PCB assembly, and so on. So all these companies cater to major brands such as Apple, Samsung, Google, Cisco, Nothing, Dell, HP, MSI, and others. And when you look at the semiconductor ecosystem itself, we have companies across the value chain, from materials to startups. If you look at materials, we have companies such as McDermott, Alpha, Maruva, Murugappa Group, and Chettinad that supply the silicon wafers and ingots to the industry. For equipment and testing, we have companies like Applied Materials, ASM Technologies, KLA, Yield Engineering Systems, Mindox, etc. So one of the case studies is that Yield Engineering Systems, they set up their first unit in India in Tamil Nadu, and they've shipped their first advanced packaging equipment to the US out of here. And this happened within a time frame of 8 to 10 months. So, and that's a kind of support that the government also provides. For design, we have companies like Qualcomm, Microchip, P-Semi, MaxLinear, and others. And for ATMP OSAT, we have a company called SPEL and a Taiwanese company, AData, which is a memory based company that is in the process of setting up. And we have a huge number of companies in the startup space for chip designing, and these are backed by universities and the government. If you look at the incentives itself, we have several policies that are in place for the electronics manufacturing and the semiconductor space. Recently, the government of India had come up with a scheme called the Electronic Component Manufacturing Scheme, and the table over here showcases the kind of components that are included in this scheme. To make things easier for the investors, the Tamil Nadu government has also launched its own electronic component manufacturing scheme, which basically mimics the government of India scheme. So it not only makes things easier for the government to give the incentives, it also makes things easier for the company to receive the incentives from the government of India and the government of Tamil Nadu. So, for example, if the government of India disperses 100 euros to the company, the government of Tamil Nadu will also disperse 100 euros. Beyond that, we have other policies, one of which is the electronic hardware manufacturing policy. And for companies that are into EMS and final assemblies, this could be a good option. For this, we have several capital subsidy ranging from 15% to 25% or 18% to 30%, depending on the investment and employment size and the district in which they go to. If you look at the left, we have three categories of district. One is A category, which is near Chennai, which is highly industrialized. B category district, which is mostly the western part, and rest are the C category districts. So if a company is going to a C category district, they get a higher incentive compared to a category district investment. Similarly, we have an advanced electronic manufacturing policy where we have a combination of a capital subsidy and a turnover-based subsidy to the company. And apart from that, we have special incentives like training and additional subsidies and payroll subsidies as well. And for the semiconductor industries itself, we have a subsidy which follows the government of India as well. If you look at the government of India's mission, the India Semiconductor Mission, they give approximately up to 50% of the investment, and the state government will give 50% of what the government of India gives. So this is the mechanism follows similar to the government of India, India's policy. And beyond that, we also give the special training incentive and additional subsidies from the state government as well. So Guidance itself is the nodal investment promotion agency for the state government of Tamil Nadu. We support companies in location advisory, facilitation, single window clearances, soft service support, policy formulations, connecting to the local industries for partnerships or for business, and we do expansion support as well. Yeah, thank you. And if you have any questions or if you're looking to connect and know more about these policies, you can write to us, and we'll be happy to connect with you.
Thank you very much, Vishnu, and thank you for highlighting Tamil Nadu as a business destination with all its strong infrastructure, skilled force, and, if I may say, favorable corporate policies. We are running a little out of time, so we will now quickly turn to our Q&A session. I have been able to spare time for 2 questions here. And without any further delay, Arush, this is for you. How does the Indian Semiconductor Mission support international suppliers like Bosch, Rexroth in integrating into India's market? May I request you to please address this briefly, as brief as possible?
Yeah. Thanks, Manas. We spoke about it before. I mean, it's not just about fabs. Want to support the wider ecosystem. So any global supplier who set up facilities for, say, equipment, sub-assemblies, raw materials, chemicals, or gases can access direct capital support, which going forward will be enabled in the next policy that's coming in ISM 2.0 in particular. And we also have some exemption on, say, capital goods, and we also enable help with R&D and talent. On top of that, there's a new electronics component manufacturing scheme that Vishnu just spoke about before right now, which goes even further and offers turnover-based and CapEx-based incentives across critical components like PCBs, lithium-ion cells, electromechanicals, passive. It has a budget of nearly USD $3 billion, and it is designed to attract companies across the electronics component value chain in particular. So the answer is two-faced. One could be from ISM 2.0, where we'll have incentives coming in over the next couple of months. We expect equipment, sub-assembly, raw materials, chemicals to be incentivized. And right now we have a scheme open for the component manufacturing base as well. So yeah, that's the two-part answer I want to get.
Thank you, Arush. That is really very generous from the Indian government. And ladies and gentlemen, the presentations of both Arush and Vishnu will be certainly shared with you by me shortly. Second question, Arush, what are the benefits for German suppliers to the Indian semiconductor industry? I think this is also catering to all of us present from Germany.
Yeah, so I think the opportunity is quite clear. We saw that India has committed over 20 billion in semicon projects, and we want to scale manufacturing to 500 billion by 2030. So this creates immediate demand for, say, precision machinery, specialty materials, automation systems, advanced packaging solutions, and test equipment. I think areas where German firms are very strong and global leaders at. So we can think about metallization, RDL, copper pillars, advanced bonding tools, but also, say, compound semicon substrates like SiC, GaN, thermal management systems, clean room technologies, and any sustainable fab solutions. So I think in addition, the Indian fabs and OSATs will require, say, testing and catalyzation equipment, any precision subsystems such as vacuum pumps, robotics, any industry 4.0 automation software as well to optimize the yield and efficiency. So I think here again, German firms have unmatched strengths. So lastly, just to cover that, I think India provides the scale, the demand, and the incentives. I think Germany brings that precision, the innovation, and the sustainability focus. So I think together we can co-create the supply chains that are globally competitive, resilient, and future ready. So,
yes, thank you. Thank you so much for that very brief but very accurate response. And ladies and gentlemen, for all the pending questions, we will reach out to you via email. And without any further delay, we would like to thank all our speakers for joining us this webinar today with all your valuable inputs. Dear attendees, a big thank you to you for your patient listening. We hope you found it informative and engaging, and appreciate you choosing us to share your valuable time with us today. I look forward to connecting with you all soon. And if you have any further questions regarding the MIIM program or the speakers, we would be happy to continue the conversation and provide any additional information that you may need. And finally, our backend team, dear Effie, Jessica, and Larissa, a big thank you for your continuous support. So till next time, and auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you.